This is Richard Radio, your voice in the dark, coming to you live well, as live as it gets these days from a makeshift studio in what used to be a small-town hardware store somewhere in the Midwest. The airwaves are buzzing tonight, or maybe. That's just the static of a world gone to hell. Welcome to the show, where the stories are as raw as the wounds we're all nursing. Buckle up, because tonight we're talking about the end of the world as we know it. You're listening to the radio. During a zombie apocalypse in the USA, let me paint the picture for you. It's been 47 days since the first reports came out of a small hospital in rural Kentucky. Nobody thought much of it at the time. A few folks stumbling around, biting nurses, acting like they'd lost their minds. The news called it a violent outbreak, maybe a new strain of some flu. Social media was all memes and jokes about bath salts and bad decisions. But then the videos started leaking. Grainy cell phone footage of people, well, not people anymore, shambling through parking lots, their eyes empty, their mouths snapping at anything that moved. By day 10, the cities were burning. By day 20, the government was gone. No more press conferences, no more emergency alerts, just silence. And now it's day 47, and the world outside my boarded-up windows is a nightmare you can't wake up from. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, folks. If you're listening, you know what's out there. The infected zombies, walkers, biters, whatever you call them, are everywhere. They don't sleep, don't stop, don't think. They just keep coming, drawn to noise, to movement, to the smell of anything still alive. And us, we're the prey, holed up in basements, attics, abandoned gas stations, praying the barricades hold. Some of you are out there scavenging, risking it all for a can of beans or a half-empty bottle of aspirin. Others are just waiting, hoping for a miracle that ain't coming. Me? I'm here, spinning stories on the airwaves, because if I stop talking, I might start thinking too hard about what's waiting outside. Tonight's broadcast is for the survivors, the ones still fighting to see another sunrise. I don't know how many of you are out there, tuning in on battered radios or jury-rigged car stereos, but if you're hearing this, you're not alone. I've been getting signals, faint ones. Mind you, from listeners as far as Montana and as close as the next county over. People like you, holding on, sharing whispers of hope or warnings about what's coming. And let me tell you, the stories I'm hearing would make your blood run cold. But they'd also make you proud, because even now, with the world falling apart, people are still fighting, still surviving, still human. Let's start with where things stand. The last official report I heard before the airwaves went mostly quiet came from a military outpost in Nevada. They said the infection spread through bites, scratches, sometimes even blood splatter. One bite, and you're done for. Fever. Sets in within hours, then delirium then. Well, you're not you anymore. The worst part, it's fast. I heard about a guy in Ohio who got nicked on the arm during a supply run. He was joking with his crew at noon, burning up by dinner, and trying to eat his best friend by midnight. That's the reality we're living in, folks. One wrong move, and you're on the other side of the barricade. Now, I'm no scientist, but I've pieced together what I can from the chatter on the airwaves. The infection is not airborne, thank God, or we'd all be gone by now. It's in the blood, in the saliva, in the stuff that comes pouring out when you crack one of those things open. And it's not just humans. Dogs, cats, even livestock, anything with a pulse can turn if it gets bit. I got a report from a trucker in Oklahoma who swore he saw a herd of infected cows tearing through a field, mowing down anything in their path. Can you imagine? A zombie cow. That's the kind of world we're in now, where even the livestock's out to get you. The cities are the worst hit. Places like Chicago, Atlanta, Los Angeles, they're gone. Not just abandoned, but overrun. The survivors who made it out talk about streets clogged with abandoned cars, buildings burning, and hordes of the infected moving like a tidal wave. If you're in a city right now, my advice is simple. Get out. Head for the country, the mountains, anywhere with fewer people and more space. The infected don't plan, don't strategize, but they're drawn to noise and crowds. A city's like a buffet for them. Out here in the sticks, it's not safe, but it's safer. You've got room to run, to hide, to fight. Speaking of fighting, let's talk about what works. Bullets, blades, blunt objects, anything that can crack a skull or sever a spine. The infected don't feel pain, don't bleed out, don't care if you shoot M in the chest. It's the brain or nothing. A clean headshot drops M every time, but good luck aiming when you've got a dozen coming at you. Melee weapons are quieter, which is key when noise draws more of them, but you've got to be strong and fast to keep swinging. I've heard of folks using everything from crowbars to kitchen knives to baseball bats wrapped in barbed wire. Whatever you've got, make it count. And if you're out of ammo or your weapon breaks, run. Run like hell, but fighting's only half the battle. Staying alive means staying smart. Food, water, shelter, those are your lifelines. The supermarkets were looted weeks ago, so you're scavenging houses, gas stations, maybe even schools or churches. Canned goods are gold, but don't sleep. On dry stuff like rice or pasta, if you've got a way to cook. Water's trickier. Rivers and lakes might be contaminated, not just with the infection, but with who knows what from all the chaos. If you've got a filter or some bleach, use it. And shelter? You need something solid: brick walls, steel doors, no big windows. A farmhouse might work, or a warehouse, but whatever you choose, fortify it. Board up the entrances, block the stairs, and always have an escape route. Now, let's talk about the infected themselves. They're not like the zombies in old movies, all slow and clumsy. These things move fast when they're fresh, especially the ones that turned recently. After a few weeks, they start to slow down, maybe because their bodies are breaking down. But don't count on it. They're strong, too stronger than they were in life, like the infection pumping them full of something unnatural. And they don't stop. You can't reason with them, can't scare them off. Fire might slow M down, but it won't kill M unless it burns the brain. Same with traps or barricades, they'll keep pounding until they break through, or you take M out. The scariest part? They're not just mindless. I know that sounds crazy, but I've heard stories, credible ones from survivors, who swear the infected are starting to act weird. Not smart exactly, but coordinated. Like they're hunting in packs, waiting in ambush, or even avoiding traps they shouldn't know about. A farmer in Nebraska said he saw a group of them ignore a noisy distraction he set up, like they knew it was a trick. Maybe it's just instinct, or maybe the infection's evolving. Either way, it's enough to keep you up at night. Assuming you're sleeping at all, let's shift gears for a second, because this isn't just about surviving, it's about holding on to what makes us human. I've been on the air for 3 weeks now, broadcasting from this little setup, and the one thing that keeps me going is you, the listeners. Every time I get a signal, a message scratched out in Morse code, or a faint voice on the other end, it reminds me there's still hope. People are out there, sharing tips, warning about horde movements, even telling stories of their own. A woman in Wyoming sent me a signal about how she and her kids are holed up in a library, reading books to pass the time. A guy in Texas said he's been painting pictures of the world before it fell, just to remember what it was like. These stories, these little acts of defiance, they're what keep us going, but I won't lie to you, folks. It's bad out there. I've heard about entire towns wiped out, not by the infected, but by panic, by people turning on each other. Food runs low, tempers flare, and suddenly you're fighting your neighbor over a bag of flour. That's the real danger, not just the zombies, but what this world does to us. I've heard of gangs forming, taking what they want by force, and, worse, people giving up, walking out into the hordes because they can't take it anymore. Don't let that be you. You're stronger than that. You've made it this far, and that's not nothing. Right now, as I'm talking, I can hear them outside. The infected. They're out there, shuffling in the dark, their groans carrying on. The wind. Every so often, one gets close, and I hear it scraping at the boards over the windows. My heart's pounding, but I keep talking, because this is what I do. This is how I fight. My weapon's my voice, my studio's my fortress, and you're my reason to keep going. If you're listening, you're part of this. You're part of the story we're still writing, even as the world burns. So, what's next? Survive the night. That's step one. Check your supplies, reinforce your shelter, and keep your weapons close. If you're alone, find a way to signal. Others smoke lights, anything that won't draw the infected. If you're with a group, stick together, but watch each other's backs. The infected are out there, scratching at the edges of my world, but I'm here, talking to you, because that's what keeps me sane. If you're listening, you're still in the fight, and that's something to hold on to. I told you to survive till morning, to check your supplies and keep your weapons close. I hope you did, because the sun's down again, and the dark brings trouble. The infected don't care about the time of day, but they're worse at night, like the shadows give them strength. I can hear them now, their moans drifting through the cracks in the boards. It's a sound you never get used to, like fingernails on a chalkboard, except it's your life on the line. Every so often, one gets too close, and I freeze, waiting, to see if it'll move on or start pounding. So far, they've moved on, but I'm not fool enough to think my luck I'll hold forever. Let's talk about what's happening out there. The world's not just quiet, it's fractured. The airwaves are mostly static now, but I've picked up enough signals to know things are getting worse. The hordes are growing, moving in bigger packs, and they're not just wandering anymore. I got a faint transmission from a survivor in Idaho who said the infected are starting to cluster, like they're drawn to each other. Not random shuffling, but groups, dozens strong, moving together through the fields and back roads. He said it's like they're searching, hunting, and that's a word that sticks with you when you're alone in the dark. Hunting, I've been, thinking about why this is happening. The infection's been tearing through us for over a month, and maybe it's changing, adapting. Back on day one, it was chaos, people turning in hours, attacking anything that moved. But now it feels like the infected are settling into something new. They're not smarter, not exactly, but they're different. A guy in Missouri sent a signal saying he saw a group of them avoid a bonfire he'd set as a trap. Not because they were scared, but like they knew it wouldn't stop them. They just went around, kept coming. That's not instinct. That's something else, and it scares me more than I'd like to admit. The infected aren't the only problem. The world's running out of everything: food, fuel, hope. I've heard from survivors who've gone days without eating, scavenging empty houses only to find moldy bread or rat-chewed bags of rice. Water's even harder. Most of the pipes are dry now, and what's left in the streams might kill you faster than thirst. A woman in Arkansas sent a message saying she's been boiling rainwater, but even that's risky with all the ash and dust in the air. The fires from the early days when cities burned, and nobody was left to put them out, left a haze, that's. Still settling, coating everything in grit, and then there's us, the survivors. We're not just fighting the infected. We're fighting ourselves. I got a signal from a guy in Pennsylvania who said his group turned on each other over a crate of canned peaches. 2 dead, 3 injured, and the rest scattered. That's what happens when you're hungry, scared, and staring down a future that looks like nothing but teeth and blood. People break. They steal, they betray, they give up. I heard about a town in Oregon where half the survivors walked out. Into a horde, not because they were trapped, but because they couldn't see a point in going on. That's the kind of despair we're up against, folks, and it's as deadly as any bite, but let's not dwell on the dark. There's still fight. And us, still stories worth telling. I've been getting signals from all over, little sparks of defiance in the night. A mechanic in South Dakota rigged a truck with steel plates and a plow, using it to clear paths through hordes so his group could scavenge. A teacher in New Mexico holed up in a school, keeping a dozen kids alive by turning the gym into a fortress. She's teaching them math between guard shifts because she believes there'll be a world worth learning for again. These are the people who keep me going, who remind me why I'm still here, talking into this microphone when I could be curled up in a corner, waiting for the end. Let's talk about survival, because that's what's on my mind tonight. You've got your basics: food, water, shelter, but it's the details that'll save you. Take noise, for example. The infected love it. A slammed door, a dropped pan, even a loud cough can bring them running. I've learned to move like a ghost, wrapping my boots in cloth to muffle my steps, tying down anything that might clank. If you're scavenging, stick to quiet tools: a crowbar over a hammer, a knife over a gun. Guns are loud, and loud means dead. A single shot can bring every biter in a mile radius down on you, and no amount of ammo's worth that risk. Speaking of scavenging, you've got to be smart about where you look. The obvious places: grocery stores. Pharmacies were cleaned out weeks ago. Think smaller, weirder. Vending machines in old office buildings, janitor closets in schools, even the trunks of abandoned cars. I heard from a guy in Florida who found a case of energy drinks in the back of a delivery van. Kept him going for days. Another survivor in Maine said she's been raiding hunting cabins, finding jerky, matches, and sometimes even ammo. The key is to think like a rat go where nobody else has bothered, because the good stuff's always hidden. Shelter's another big one. My hardware store's holding up, but it's not perfect. The walls are solid, but the windows are a weak point, even boarded up. I've got the doors braced with steel shelves, and I sleep in a storage room with only one way in. If you're picking a spot, look for something you can defend. High ground's good: second floors, rooftops, but make sure you've got a way. Down if things go south. Basements are tricky. They're safe until they're not, and then you're trapped. Whatever you choose, map it out. Know every exit, every choke point, every place you can make a stand or slip away. Weapons are your last line of defense, and you've got to know what you're working with. I've got a fire axe, heavy, sharp, and quiet. It's not fancy, but it gets the job done. If you're out there, pick something you can handle. A sledgehammer's great until your arms give out. A machete's quick, but it'll stick in bone if you're not careful. And don't sleep on improvised stuff. A pipe with a bolt screwed into the end can crack a skull just fine. Whatever you use, keep it close, even when you sleep. I've heard too many stories of folks waking up to teeth because they left their weapon across the room. The infected are changing, and that's something we need to talk about. I mentioned last night that they're acting weird, and I've got more reports backing that up. A signal from Kansas said a horde split up to surround a barn where survivors were hiding, like they were cutting off escape routes. Another from Louisiana described the infected standing still, almost waiting, until a survivor made a sound, then moving as one. It's not intelligence, not like we know it, but it's purpose. The infection's been in them long enough to rewire something, to make them more than just rabid animals. I don't know what that means for us, but it means we've got to stay sharper, stay faster, stay alive. Weather's another factor now. It's late spring, but the skies are wrong. That ash I mentioned, it's not just from fires. Something about the chaos, the explosions, the collapses kicked up dust that's hanging in the air, making sunsets blood red and nights colder than they should be. Rain's been spotty, and when it comes, it's thick with grime. If you're collecting water, filter it twice, because drinking that mucks a one-way ticket to a different kind of sick. The cold's a problem too. If you're in the north, start thinking about warmth. Blankets, coats, even newspapers stuffed in your clothes can make a difference. Fire's risky, it draws attention, but sometimes you've got no choice. Let's talk about moving, because staying put's not always an option. If your shelter's compromised or transparent, you've got to go. The infected don't plan, but they'll find you if you stay still too long. Travel light food, water, a weapon, and maybe a map. Stick to back roads, avoid towns, and move. At dawn or dusk when the infected are slower. If you're with others, keep your group small. Too many people means too much noise, too much food needed. I heard from a survivor in Colorado who's been moving on foot, sticking to the mountains, living off fish and berries. It's hard, but it's working. If you're driving, gas is scarce, and roads are often blocked. A bike's quieter, but you're exposed. Pick your poison. Trust is a luxury now, but you can't survive alone forever. I've heard of groups forming small, tight-knit, built on necessity. A signal from Arizona talked about a camp in the desert, maybe 20 people, sharing food and watch shifts. They're not friends, not really, but they're alive because they work together. If you find people, watch them. Good folks are out there, but so are the desperate, the ones who will slit your throat for a protein bar. Test them, start small, and never let your guard down. Every signal I get a Morse code blip. A staticky voice tells me you're still out there, still fighting. A kid in Iowa sent a message saying he's been drawing comics about surviving, giving them to his little sister to keep her calm. A nurse in Virginia's holed up in a clinic, treating wounds with what's left of her supplies. These stories are our lifeline, proof we're not just surviving, but living, even if it's just for one more day. The infected are closer tonight. I can hear them, their feet dragging on the pavement, their hands scraping the walls. My axe is by my side, my doors are braced, but my heart's racing. I'm talking to you because it keeps me focused, keeps me from falling apart. The infected are louder tonight, more restless, like they can sense something's coming. Maybe it's the weather, there's a storm brewing, the kind that makes the hairs on your neck stand up. Or maybe it's just this world, this broken place, getting ready to throw another punch. Either way, I'm here, broadcasting to you, the survivors, because we're still in this. And we're not done yet. The airwaves are quieter than they were a week ago. Where I used to pick up a dozen signals a night, faint voices, Morse code, even the occasional burst of music, now it's down to a trickle. I got one from a fisherman in Michigan, holed up on a boat in the middle of a lake, saying the shores are crawling with infection. Another from a librarian in Tennessee, whispering about a horde that tore through her town, leaving nothing but wreckage. The signals are fewer, but they're still out there, proof that people are holding on, even as the world crumbles. Let's talk about the infected, because they're not just a problem, they're the problem. I've been saying they're changing, and every night brings more evidence. They're not just moving in packs now. They're acting with purpose, like the infection knitting them together into something worse. I picked up a signal from a trucker in Wyoming who said he saw a group of infected stop at a riverbank, not crossing, like they knew the current would sweep them away. Instead, they waited, then moved along the bank until they found a bridge. That's not random. That's strategy or something close enough to make your skin crawl. It's not just their behavior. Their bodies are changing too. The ones that turned early, back in the first weeks, are starting to look wrong. Their skin's graying, peeling away in patches, but they're not falling apart. If anything, they're tougher, like the infection, hardening them. A survivor in Alabama sent a message saying she took down one with a shotgun, point blank to the chest, and it kept coming. Only a headshot stopped it, and even then, it took two. The newer infected, the ones turning now, are still fast, still ferocious, but the old ones? They're becoming something else, something that doesn't die easy. The world outside's changing just as fast. That ash I mentioned last night, it's thicker now, settling on everything like a funeral shroud. The sun's barely breaking through during the day, casting this sickly yellow light that makes everything look like a bad dream. It's not just aesthetics. It's survival. The ash clogs filters, taints water, and makes breathing harder if you're out too long. If you're scavenging, wrap a cloth over your mouth, and don't trust open water sources. Boil everything. Twice if you can, because whatever's in that ash isn't just dirt. It's the residue of a world burning down. Food's getting scarcer too. The easy pickings canned goods, dry stores are long gone in most places. Survivors are digging deeper, risking more. I heard from a guy in Idaho who's been breaking into old farmhouses, finding jars of preserves in root cellars. Another in Kentucky said he's been eating dog food, not because he's desperate, but because it's all that's left in the houses he's searched. It's not just about finding food. It's about keeping it. Hordes aren't the only threat. Other survivors, the ones who've gone feral, will kill for a crust of bread. Trust nobody until they've earned it, and even then, sleep with one eye open. Let's talk about moving, because staying still's a death sentence in some places. My hardware store's holding for now, but I know it won't last forever. The infected are too close, too many, and every night they test the boards a little harder. If you're in a bad spot too many infected, not enough food, you've got to go. Plan your route. Stick to open country if you can, and avoid anything that looks like a choke point. Bridges, tunnels, narrow roads, they're traps waiting to happen. Move light, just what you can carry, and don't get attached to anything. You can't drop in a second. A backpack with food, water, a weapon, and a blanket's all you need. Anything more slows you down. Travel's dangerous, but so is staying put. If you're moving, time it right. Dawn's best less infected activity, better light to spot trouble. Night's a gamble. The dark hides them, but it hides you too. If you're on foot, stick to fields or forests, anywhere you can see them coming. Roads are risky, too many abandoned cars, too many places for the infected to hide. If you've got a vehicle, keep it quiet. A motorcycle's better than a car. It's faster, uses less fuel, and you can weave through wrecks. But gas is gold, and you won't find much. Siphon what you can, and don't waste it joyriding. Weapons are your lifeline, but they're only as good as you are. My fire axe is still my go-to, heavy enough to crush, sharp enough to cut, quiet enough to keep me alive. But it's not perfect. The handle's starting to splinter, and I'm not sure how many more swings it's got. If you're out there, check your gear. A dull blade's useless. A loose grip's deadly. Improvise if you have to. A tire iron, a shovel, even a sharpened stick can work in a pinch. The key is keep them at a distance, because one grab's all it takes. And don't rely on guns unless you're desperate. The noise'll bring more than you can handle, and ammo's not growing on trees. The infected aren't just a physical threat. They're psychological. You can't outrun what they do to your head. Every groan, every shadow, every night you lie. Awake wondering if the creak was the wind or something worse, it wears you down. I've been broadcasting for weeks, and I'm not ashamed to say it's getting to me. The solitude, the fear, the constant edge of not knowing if I'll see tomorrow. I keep talking because it's my anchor, but some nights I wonder if I'm just shouting into the void. If you're feeling that weight, find something to hold on to. A memory, a goal, even a stupid little ritual. I've got a photo of my old dog, Max, taped to the wall. He's gone, but looking at him reminds me there was a world before this, and maybe there'll be one after. The storm I mentioned, it's closer now. I can hear thunder rumbling, low and mean, and the air's got that electric bite. Storms are a mixed bag. Rain can mask your noise, make it easier to move without drawing attention, but it'll soak you, chill you, and turn dirt to mud that slows you down. Lightning's another problem. It lights up the world, which is great for seeing infected, but it also shows them where you are. If you're caught in a storm, find cover, but not under trees. Lightning loves them, and a falling branch can kill you as quick as a bite. A ditch, a culvert, even a car with the windows up is better than nothing. The airwaves are telling me the infected aren't the only thing evolving. Survivors are changing, too, not physically, but in how they live. I got a signal from a group in Montana who've started using dogs to sniff out infection. The dogs can smell them before you see them, giving you time to run or fight. Another survivor in Arizona's been setting traps not just for infected, but for other people. Spiked pits, tripwires, anything to protect his stash. It's smart, but it's cold. That's what this world does. It turns you into something you wouldn't recognize. I'm trying to hold on to who I was, but every night I feel it slipping. Hope's still out there though, faint as it is. I got a message from a kid in Oklahoma, maybe 15, who's been fixing radios to stay in touch with other survivors. He's got no food, no weapons, but he's still trying, still building something. Another from a woman in Georgia who found a garden that's still growing potatoes, carrots, enough to keep her group alive. These are the stories that keep me going, the ones that say we're not just animals fighting over scraps. We're people, and we're still here, still dreaming. Even if it's just for one more day, the infected are pounding on the boards now, harder than last night. I can hear the wood creaking, feel the vibrations through the floor. My axe is ready, but I'm not fooling myself. I can't fight a horde. I've got a trapdoor to the roof, a last resort if they break through, but I'm not ready to run yet. I'm talking to you because it's what I do, what keeps me human. They're relentless, clawing at the walls, their groans cutting through the storm's roar. I can't tell how many are out there, dozens, maybe more, but it's the most I've heard since I holed up here. The rain's masking some of their noise, but it's also making the boards slick, weaker, like they could give any second. My trapdoor to the roof is my only way out, and I'm eyeing it more than I'd like. But I'm still talking, still reaching you, because giving up isn't who we are. Not yet. The storm's changing the game. The rain's heavy, turning the ground outside into a muddy trap. If you're moving, watch your step. Mud slows you down, and a twisted ankle as good as a death sentence. The water's coming down dirty, thick with that ash I've been talking about, so don't even think about drinking it straight. Boil it, filter it, do whatever you can, because whatever's in that rain isn't just grime it's poison from. A world that's rotting. The lightning's a double-edged sword. It lights up the night, letting you see the infected before they're on you, but every flash paints a target on your back. If you're out there, find cover, but stay low. A shed, a car, even a ditch is better than being a lightning rod. The airwaves are almost dead tonight. I've only caught 2 signals since sundown, both faint, both desperate. One was from a farmer in Nebraska, saying his barn's surrounded, the infected tearing at the walls like they know he's inside. The other was from a woman in Texas, whispering that her group's down to 3, hiding in a church with no food left. The signals cut off before I could respond, and that silence hits harder than the storm. But it's not all gone. You're out there listening, and that's enough to keep me going, to keep this microphone hot. Let's talk about the infected, because they're not just pounding my walls, they're evolving. I've been saying it for days, but it's clearer now. They're not just coordinated. They're adapting to the world around them. The rain's not slowing them down like it should. I've seen them through the cracks in the boards, moving. Through the mud like it's nothing, their feet finding grip where a human would slip. A signal from a survivor in Oregon said he watched a group of infected climb over a pile of wrecked cars to get to a barricade, not scrambling, but deliberate, like they were testing each step. That's not the mindless horde we faced a month ago. That's something new, and it's got my gut in knots. Their bodies are worse too. The older infected, the ones from the early days, are starting to look like nightmares. Their skin isn't just gray, it's hardening, like some kind of shell. Their eyes are sunken, but they still track you, still hunt. A guy in Illinois sent a message saying he hit one with a sledgehammer, full swing to the chest, and it barely flinched. Took 3 shots to the head to drop it, and even then, it twitched for minutes. The newer ones are still fast, still vicious, but the old ones are tanks, soaking up damage that would have stopped them weeks ago. If you're fighting, aim for the brain, and don't stop swinging until they're down for good. The world's not helping. That ash in the air's getting thicker, and it's not just a nuisance, it's a killer. It's clogging lungs, stinging eyes, and making every breath a gamble. If you're outside, cover your face, even if it's just a t-shirt. The cold's biting harder too, especially with this storm. Spring's supposed to be warm, but the nights are dipping close to freezing, and wet clothes can kill you as fast as teeth. If you've got dry gear, keep it that way. If you don't, find some plastic trash bags, tarps, anything to keep. The rain off. Fire's a risk, but hypothermia worse. Build it small, shield it, and do it the second you're done. Food's a ghost now. Most survivors are down 2 scraps, and the ones who aren't are fighting to keep them. I heard from a guy in Missouri who found a stash of freeze-dried meals in a camping store, but he had to kill 2 other survivors to keep it. That's where we're at, killing each other over a bag of powdered eggs. If you're scavenging, think outside the box. Check places nobody else has, like storage units, abandoned RVs, even vending machines and old laundromats. A woman in Nevada said she's been cracking open soda machines for the sugar hit, saying it's keeping her kids alive. It's not much, but it's something. Shelters everything, and mine's on borrowed time. The infected are testing every weak point, and the storm's not helping. The roof's leaking, dripping into buckets I've set up, and the walls are starting to bow under the pressure. I've reinforced what I can, but it's not enough. If you're in a spot like mine, start planning your exit. Look for a fallback another. Building a vehicle, even a tree if it's sturdy enough. My trapdoor is my lifeline, but I know climbing to the roof in this rain's a risk. If you're picking a new spot, go for something with height and walls. A water tower, a grain silo, anything that keeps you above the horde. Just make sure you can get down when the time comes. Weapons are your edge, but they're only as good as your strength. My axe is still holding, but the handle's splintering worse than last night. I've got a crowbar as backup, but it's shorter, riskier. If you're out there, maintain your gear. Sharpen blades, tighten grips, check for cracks. If you're improvising, get creative. A metal chair leg, a broken bottle taped to a stick, anything that keeps them at arm's length. Guns are a last resort. I've got a pistol, 6 rounds left, and I'm saving them for when there's no other way. If you're using firearms, aim true, because every shot's a beacon to the horde. The mental toll's as bad as the physical. The infected's groans, the storm's roar, the constant fear, it's like sandpaper on your nerves. I'm sleeping in snatches, maybe an hour at a time, and even then, it's not rest. Dreams are just the day's horrors on repeat. If you're struggling, find a focus. For me, it's this broadcast, this microphone I've got that photo of my dog, Max, staring at me, and it's enough to keep me from breaking. If you've got nothing else, talk to yourself, sing, count the cracks in the wall, anything to remind you you're still here, still human. The storm's a wild card. It's hiding my noise, which is good, but it's also hiding theirs. I can't tell if the horde's growing or if it's just the wind playing tricks. Lightning's flashing every few minutes, and each time I see them shadows in the rain, shambling, waiting. The thunder's shaking the walls, loosening nails I've driven into the boards. If you're in a storm, use it. Move when the thunder rolls, it covers your steps. But don't trust the rain to keep you safe. The infected don't care about getting wet, and they'll smell you through the downpour. If you're not careful, the airwaves are whispering about new dangers. A signal from Colorado mentioned survivors turning without bites, like the infection's finding new ways to spread. The guy wasn't sure, could have been a scratch, could have been bad water, but it's got me thinking. If the infection in the ash, in the rain, we're in deeper trouble than I thought. Another signal from Florida talked about infected animals, not just dogs or cows, but birds, flocks of them, diving at survivors like they're hunting. I don't know if it's true, but I'm not taking chances. If you see animals acting wrong, run. Hope's a fragile thing, but it's still burning. A signal from a kid in Wisconsin said he's been planting seeds in a greenhouse, dreaming of a day when he can grow food again. Another from a firefighter in California saying he's been clearing infected from a hospital, trying to make it a safe zone. These are the sparks we need, the proof we're not just surviving, but building, even if it's just a dream for now. They're why I keep talking, why I keep fighting, why I haven't climbed to that roof and given up. The infected are through the outer defenses, their hands clawing at the inner walls, their moans a chorus that drowns out the storm. I can't see them yet, but I hear them, dragging themselves over broken shelves, smashing through what's left of my barricades. The lightning flashes show shadows moving, too many to close. I've got minutes, maybe less, before they reach this room. My axe is ready, but it's not enough, not against a horde. The trapdoor above me, but the roof's no sanctuary in this storm. Still, I'm talking, because you're listening, And that's the thread holding me together, the storms. A monster, worse than last night. The wind's tearing at the roof, ripping shingles loose, and the rain's flooding the floor, seeping under the door. It's cold, bone deep, and my clothes are soaked, sticking to my skin. If you're out there, you're feeling it too. The way the wet saps your strength, makes every move heavier. Stay dry if you can, because hypothermia a quiet killer, and the infected won't wait for you to shiver to death. If you're moving, stick to cover, but watch for flooding. A stream can turn into a river in minutes, and you don't want to be swept into a horde. The airwaves are ghostly tonight, barely a whisper. I caught one signal, garbled, from a guy in Minnesota, saying his group's trapped in a factory, the infected battering the gates. He sounded tired, like he's already half gone, but he was still fighting, still sending out a call. That's all I've got, and it's not enough to fill the silence. The quiet's worse than the noise it makes you wonder how many are left, how many are still human. The infected are changing faster than I can keep up. They're not just tough, now they're cunning. The ones outside aren't just pounding. They're probing, like they're looking for weak spots. I saw one through a crack in the wall, standing still, head tilted, like it was listening. Not mindless, not anymore. A signal from a survivor in Arkansas said he watched a group of infected split up to flank a barricade, moving like wolves, not a mob. The older ones, with their hardened skin and sunken eyes, are the worst. They're slower but stronger, taking hits that would drop a fresh one. If you're fighting, don't hesitate, go for the head, and keep swinging until they stop moving. The world's falling apart, and the storm's just the latest blow. The ash in the air's thicker, mixing with the rain to form a sludge that coats everything. It's in my hair, my clothes, my lungs, and it's making every breath a fight. If you're outside, cover your mouth, because this stuff's not just dirt, it's the world's corpse, and it'll choke you if you let it. The cold's deeper now, cutting through even dry clothes. If you've got no fire, huddle with anything, blankets, cardboard, even dirt piled over you. It's not comfort. It's survival. Food's a memory for most of us. I've got a can of beans left, half a bag of rice, and that's it. Scavenging a death wish now, with the infected everywhere and other survivors just as desperate. I heard from a woman in Ohio who's been eating weeds, boiling dandelions to stay alive. Another guy in Utah said he's been cracking open bird nests for eggs, risking bites from infected sparrows. It's not living, it's enduring. If you're scavenging, look for the forgotten school kitchens, church pantries, even pet stores for kibble. It's not pride that keeps you alive. It's calories, shelters a losing battle. My store's crumbling, the walls buckling under. The infected wait. The storage room's my last stand, but it's not built for this. The door's steel, but the hinges are creaking, and the water's pooling at my feet. If you're in a spot like mine, you're already planning your escape. A rooftop, a sewer, a boat, anything's better than a corner. If you're picking a new place, go for something sealed, like a bank vault or a shipping container. Windows are dead, and doors need to be heavy. Map your exits, because when it falls fast. Weapons are all that stand between you and them. My axe is battered, the blade chipped, but it's still my best shot. The crowbar's too short for a real fight, and my pistol's down too. 5 rounds. If you're out there, check your gear every chance you get. A loose bolt, a dull edge, a cracked handle, any of them can end you. Improvise if you're out of options. A brick, a broken pipe, even a shard of glass wrapped in cloth can buy you time. Keep them at a distance, because one touch is all it takes. If you're using a gun, make every shot count, and be ready to run the second you fire. The mental strain a killer, worse than the cold or the hunger. The infected groups are in my head now, even when they're quiet. I'm jumping at shadows, second-guessing every sound. Sleep's a joke, just snatches of darkness, filled with nightmares of teeth and blood. I'm holding on for you, for this broadcast, for the photo of Max staring at me from the wall. If you're breaking, find something, anything, to anchor. You. A song stuck in your head, a promise you made, even a rock you carry in your pocket. It's not about strength. It's about not giving up. The storm's a shield and a curse. The rain's hiding my voice, keeping the infected from pinpointing me, but it's also hiding their numbers. The lightning shows me glimpses, dozens of them, maybe hundreds surrounding the store. The thunder's shaking the walls, loosening. What's left of my defenses? If you're in a storm, use the noise to move, but don't trust it to save you. The infected don't care about the rain, and they'll find you if you slip. Stay low, stay quiet, and pray the lightning doesn't show them where you are. The airwaves are hinting at something worse than being infected. A signal from a guy. In New Mexico said he saw people turning without bites, just coughing up blood and collapsing, only to rise as infected hours later. He thinks it's the ash, carrying the infection like dust on the wind. I don't know if it's true, but it's got me scared to breathe. Another signal from Mississippi talked about infected plants, vines that move, wrapping around anything that gets to close. It sounds crazy, but so did zombie cows a month ago. If you see anything unnatural, don't touch it, don't breathe. It just run. Hope's a flicker, but it's there. A signal from a girl in Iowa said she's been teaching her brother to read, using old comic books they found in a gas station. Another from a man in Oregon, saying he's been building a raft to get to an island, believing the infected can't swim. These are the stories that keep me alive, the ones that say we're not just clawing through the dark, but reaching for something better. They're why I'm still here, talking through the fear, through the chaos, through the end of everything. The infected are at the door now, the steel buckling under their weight. I can hear the hinges screaming, the wood frame splintering. My axe is raised, but I'm not fooling myself. I can't fight them all. The trapdoor's my only shot, but the roof's a gamble in this storm. I'm talking to you because you're my lifeline, because you're out there, fighting, surviving. Grab your weapons, check your exits, and hold on. The door's giving way, the steel bending like foil under the infected relentless pounding. I'm in the storage room, my back to the wall, axe trembling in my hands, the storm raging outside as the Midwest burns on day 51 of the zombie apocalypse. The hinges snap one, then another, and the groans flood in, closer, hungrier. The trapdoor's my only shot, but the roof's a death trap in this rain. I'm talking to you survivors, because you're my reason to fight, my reason to keep. Breathing even as the world ends, the infected are through. The door collapses, and I swing my axe, catching the first one in the skull. It drops, but more surge forward, their hardened skin glinting in the lightning's flash, their eyes empty, but purposeful. I swing again, my arms burning, but there's no end to them, dozens, maybe hundreds, pouring into the room. The storage room's too small, the walls closing in, and the water's ankle deep, slowing my steps. I'm not winning this fight, but I'm not giving up. I'm talking, broadcasting, because you're out there, and we're still human, still holding on. I lunge for the trapdoor, yanking the ladder down as the infected grab at my legs. My axe catches another, buying me seconds, and I scramble up, the rain hitting me like needles as I reach the roof. The storm's a nightmare wind tearing at. My clothes, lightning showing me the horde below, spreading like a flood around the store. The roof's slick, the shingles loose, and I'm sliding, my hands clawing for grip. My axe is gone, dropped in the climb, and my pistol's all I've got 5 rounds, not enough to matter. I'm talking because it's what I do, because you're listening, and that's the only victory left. The infected are climbing. I see them at the edges of the roof, their fingers gripping the gutters, pulling themselves up with that unnatural strength. They're not fast, but they're steady, and the rain's not stopping them. The older ones, with their armored skin, lead the pack, their movements deliberate, like they know I'm trapped. I crawl to the center of the roof, the highest point. But it's no fortress, just a flat stretch of tar and gravel, buckling under the storm. The air's thick with ash, choking me, and the cold seeping into my bones. I'm broadcasting, my voice cracking, because you're my anchor, my reason to keep going even as the end closes in. The airwaves are silent now. No signals, no whispers, just static. I've been calling out, begging for a sign, but there's nothing. Maybe the storm's killing the signal, or maybe there's no one left to answer. But I'm not giving up on you. I know you're out there, holed up in basements, hiding in trees, fighting for one more day. You're the ones who've kept me going, who've made these broadcasts more than just noise. I'm talking for you, for the kid in Iowa with his comics, the firefighter in California, the girl in Georgia with her garden. You're the story, and I'm just the voice. The infected are evolving, and it's worse than I feared. The ones on the roof aren't just hunting, they're coordinating. I see them spread out, cutting off my edges like they're hurting me. One stands still, watching, its head tilted like it's thinking. Not human thinking, but something cold, alien, born of the infection. A signal I caught days ago, from New Mexico, warned about the infection spreading without bites, through the ash, through the rain. I feel it now, the burn in my lungs, the weight in my chest. Maybe it's just fear, or maybe I'm already gone. If you're out there, don't breathe the ash, don't drink the rain. It's not just the infected, it's the world itself turning against us. The storm's peaking, the lightning so close it's blinding, the thunder shaking my bones. The rain's a wall, hiding the infected until they're too close, their hands reaching through the downpour. I fire my pistol once, twice, 3 times dropping 3, but it's nothing against the tide. 2 rounds left, and I'm saving them, not for them, but for me. The roof's collapsing under their weight, the beams groaning, and I'm slipping, my boots useless on the wet gravel. I'm talking because it's my fight, my defiance, my proof that I'm still here, still human even as the end comes, the world's unrecognizable. The ash has buried the fields, turned the rivers to sludge. The cold's killing as many as the infected, freezing survivors in their sleep. Food's a myth, those who have it guard it with their lives, and those who don't are ghosts, wandering until they fall. I've got nothing left, just the clothes on my back and this microphone, my lifeline to you. If you're scavenging, look for the impossible crawl spaces, locked safes, places too small for looters. A guy in Montana said he found a jar of honey in a wall, hidden behind a painting. It's not much, but it's life, shelters are lost. Cause up here. The roof's my last stand, but it's no refuge. The infected are everywhere, climbing, crawling, their numbers endless. If you're in a spot, hold it as long as you can, but know when to run. A attic, a bunker, a boat, anything's better than open ground. My mistake was staying too long, thinking the store could hold. If you're picking a place, choose something mobile, something you can abandon. A van, a cart, even a sled if you're in the snow. Keep moving, because standing still is death. Weapons are all I had, and now they're gone. My axe is below, my pistol's nearly empty, and my hands are shaking too hard to swing. If you're armed, cherish it. A knife, a stick, a rock, anything's better than nothing. Keep it sharp, keep it close, and don't let it go. I've heard of survivors using slingshots, firing bolts from scavenged metal. It's not much, but it's distance, and distance is life. If you're out of ammo, out of blades, use the world drop bricks, roll logs, anything to slow them down. Fight dirty, because they don't fight fair, the mental weight's crushing me. The infected's groans, the storm's roar, the silence of the airwaves, it's too much. I'm seeing things now, shadows that aren't there, Max's face in the rain. I'm talking to keep sane, to keep from curling up and letting them take me. If you're breaking, hold on to something small. A name, a memory, a reason. I've got you, the listeners, the ones I'll never meet but feel in my bones. You're why I'm still here, still broadcasting, still fighting even as the roof gives way. The infected are on me now, their hands closing in, their teeth snapping through the rain. I fire my last 2 shots, dropping 2, but it's nothing. They're too many, too strong, and I'm too tired. The roof's collapsing, the beams snapping, and I'm falling, sliding toward the edge. I'm talking because it's my last act, my final stand. You're out there surviving, and that's enough. Keep fighting, keep living, keep the story going. This is Richard Radio, signing off for good. Stay human, stay alive, and never stop. Static silenceth the airwaves go quiet, but the story doesn't end. You're out there in the dark, carrying the spark Richard Radio lit. The infected rule the world now, their numbers swelling, their forms twisting into something beyond human. The ash chokes the skies, the rivers run black, and the cold claims those who don't fall to teeth. But you're still here, scavenging, fighting, dreaming. Of a day when the sun breaks through. You've learned from Richard's voice, from his nights of defiance. You move at dawn, silent as a shadow, your knife sharpened on stone. You scavenge the forgotten attics, storm drains, the glove boxes of rusted cars, finding crumbs to keep you going. Your shelter's a moving thing, a bike or a raft, never still for long. You fight with what you have, a crowbar, a brick, your own fists, because giving up isn't in you. The infected hunt in packs, smarter every day, but you're smarter, slipping through their traps, using the storms to hide your steps. The world's not gone, not completely. There are others like you, sending signals in the night flashes of light, scratches of code, whispers of hope. A group in Idaho's building a wall, a safe zone carved from the chaos. A woman in Florida's growing mushrooms in a cave, feeding her people. A boy in Maine's rigging radios, linking survivors. Across the miles. They're the legacy of Richard Radio, the proof that humanity's not done. Not yet. The infection is spreading, not just through bites, but through the air, the water, the dust you breathe. You cover your face, boil your water, and pray it's enough. The infected animals, birds, dogs, even fish hunt alongside their human kin, a new kind of predator. But you're a predator too, cunning and fierce, refusing to be prey. You've seen the vines that move, the trees that bleed, and you steer clear, knowing the world itself is infected. Hope's not a word you say lightly, but it's there, in the seeds you plant, the stories you tell, the hands you hold in the dark. You're writing the next chapter, the one Richard couldn't. You're the survivors, the dreamers, the ones who'll see the dawn, even if it's years away. The infected may own the night, but you own the future, and you'll fight for it, one breath, one step, one life at a time.